Hey, what's up? Today we're going to create this user management system to sharpen our CRUD skills. The application will allow you to search, you'll be able to add new customers, update customers, and also delete them. The list of customers will be paginated and everything will be fully responsive thanks to Bootstrap. If this is something that you like to learn, stick around and consider subscribing. Now let's get started. Hey, welcome everybody and let's get started. I've already created a Nodejs user management project folder, and inside here is where we're going to be initializing a new project. In order to do this, open the terminal or PowerShell. On Windows you can do left shift, right click and open terminal in here, and this CDs to the project folder that I've created, but of course you can use the CD command if you're on Linux or Mac. Now let's open this full screen and let's initialize a new project by doing npm init-y, and this is going to skip all the questions and save us a couple of seconds. I'm going to clear everything, and the next thing that we need to do is install the dependencies that we need for this project. npm I for install, and then we can start listing them, starting with .env, EJS Express, Express EJS Layout, Express Flash Messages, Express Session, Method Override, and Mongoose. Press enter and this should take a couple of seconds. And the next dependency that we need to install is going to be a development dependency, and that's Nodemon. Nodemon is going to restart the server for us every time we make a change, so we don't have to do it manually. In order to install Nodemon, we need to do npm I for install and then -- save -dev, and we do Nodemon. Alright, now let's open our project in Visual Studio Code or whatever code editor you have available. So code dot, and this is going to open Visual Studio Code with my project here on the side inside the Explorer. If you can't do this, you can simply go to File, Open, Folder, and just open your project folder. If you open the package.json file in here, you will see that we have the name, version, description, script, we have the dependencies and the development dependencies. First of all, inside scripts, we need to create a new script called start. So I'm going to do comma, and then inside here we do start, and all we need to do in here is we want to tell Nodemon to start our application. So Nodemon, and then the application name, which I'm going to call app.js. Save this. The next thing that we need to look at is the dependencies. As of currently, I'm using those versions, but in future, some of them are most likely to change. They're very popular dependencies, so if you have any errors, just Google them and hopefully you'll find the answer. And the last one is obviously Nodemon, which we installed and we're using here. Let's create our application file, which is called app.js. So inside the Explorer, we can go app.js like so. Once you create your new file, we also want one more, which is going to be called .env. And this env file is going to contain some of the stuff that we want to hide, such as the username of our database, the password of our database, and the string of our database, which we're going to do a little bit later in this tutorial. Now let's create a very basic application. So open app.js and let's focus on that to start. Let's add the dependencies that we're only going to use right now, and we're going to be adding the rest as we progress in the tutorial. The first one is going to be our .env that we just created. So this is the only one that is required a little bit differently. So require, and then in single quotes we do .env, and then we do .config, and like so. The next one is going to be express. So we do const express equals require, and then we require express in single quotes like so. We also want express EJS layout, which is going to help us to create layouts that can be reused for the entire application, and I'm going to be using EJS, which is going to save us a lot of time. Inside here we're going to do const express layout, and then this is going to be equals require, and then we're requiring express EJS layout like so. Now we need to create a new express application, and in order to do this, we can do const app equals express, and we start the function. If you hover over this, you will see that it should say create an express application. The express function is a top level function exported by the express module, which we have here. We also need to tell application what port number to be using. So we do const port, and this is going to be equals 5000. If we're working locally, this is going to be the port number that we're using. But if we decide to upload this application on a real server, so it's publicly visible, we can do OR, and then we can use the environment port number set by the server as default. And this is going to be process.env port, like so. The next thing that I'm going to do is finish up with Express, and I'm going to do app.use. And because we're going to be having forms in our application, which is going to allow us to pass data, then we need to do a couple of things. So the first one is going to be Express, and then inside here, we're going to do URL encoded. And for this is going to be in curly brackets, extended, and then we set this to true, like so, close. And if you hover over this, you will see that this returns middleware that only passes URL encoded bodies and only looks at requests where content type header matches the type option. The next thing that I want to do is app.use, and then this is going to be express.json, like so. And then if I hover over this, you'll see that returns middleware that only passes JSON and looks at requests where content type header matches the type option. So those two things are going to be helping with passing data through the forms later on, but I wanted to set them up now. And the next thing that I want to set up is the Express static folder. And what we need to do is app.use express.static. And then inside here, we're going to do our static folder, which is going to be called public. Now, what this is essentially, I'm going to be creating a public folder, which is going to hold our CSS, images, and JavaScript. If you hover over this, you will see that this is a built-in middleware function in Express that serves static files and is based on server static. So this is going to make us serving images, CSS, JavaScript so much easier later on, and I'm going to show you how it works. The next thing that we need to do is set up our templating engine, and then to do this we can do app.use and then express layout, and then we're going to do app.set, and then we need to set our default layout is /, and then we're going to create layouts folder and then main. So this is going to be our main layout. So essentially we create one layout that can be reused for many pages, and we're going to be including scripts, CSS, images, and so on. Now the last thing that we need to do in here is app.set, and we need to set our view engine, like so. And then the view engine that I'm going to be using is EJS in this example, and I'm going to show you a very cool extension that's going to help us a lot. All right, we are almost there. The next thing that I'm going to do is create a very basic route, and this route is going to be our homepage, for example, just so we can test the application. To do this, we can do app.get, and inside here we can just do /, which is going to be our homepage, and then we're going to do a function which is going to be a request and response, like so. And then this is going to be an arrow function, and inside curly brackets is where we're going to do the logic, and this is going to be res.send, and then we can send some data like hello world, like so. But we also need to tell Express to listen on this port number and start the application. App.listen, grab the port number from here, so port, and then this is going to be an arrow function, like so. And then in curly brackets we can finish by doing console.log, and then I'm going to do in single slanted quotes, like so, which is going to allow us to bring in const, and inside here I'm going to do app listening on port, and then with $ curly brackets we can put the port number inside here, and that's it. All right, at this point we should be able to start our application and get the hello world message. So if you save this, you can either go here on the 3 dots and run and click on terminal, new terminal, and you can do your commands in here, or you can do the commands on the outside PowerShell terminal. As long as you are inside this folder, you should be able to start your application by doing npm start, press enter, and now this should start your application. And as you can see, nodemon starting node app.js, and we have app listening on port 5000. If you go to the browser now, and if you go to localhost of the port with column port 5000, you should be able to see hello world, which means our application is working. Now the next thing that we can do is set up our layout. Let's go back to the Explorer here and start creating some folders. So the first one is going to be called views. This folder is going to contain all of all pages, kind of like all HTML, but in this case, it's going to be EJS. Inside views, we're going to have our main layout as well. So let's create that by doing layout. And then inside layout, I'm going to create a file called main.ejs. So this is going to be our main layout, and I'm going to show you how it works right now. And what we can do is if you start typing HTML, in Visual Studio Code, we have some suggestions here, and I'm going to click on HTML5, and this is going to create a very basic document. The next thing that we need to do is make sure that all of our pages are using this layout and the content is rendered inside here. And if you go to extensions here, and if you look for this one here called EJS Language Support by Digital Brainstem, this is going to save us a lot of time writing EJS, and I'm going to show you how now. So I've already got it installed. I'm going to close it, and let's close this as well, like so. And now what I can do is I can start writing EJS super quickly by doing EJS, and then it gives me a lot of options. Now for this option, I actually want the EJS escape. So output escaped, and I'm going to press enter. As you can see, this opens the EJS and closes it for me, and I can do all sorts of cool stuff, which we'll do later. So inside here, I want to be able to render the pages that we're going to be creating. What we can do is just put body like so, and we're done. This is our main layout. We will modify in a second, but let's test it first of all. So let's go to the Explorer. Let's go to views, and let's create our first page, which is going to be called index.ejs. So this is going to be our dashboard, or in this case, our homepage. So what I'm going to do is put h1 dashboard like so. So what are we expecting to happen is that we want the index.ejs h1 to be rendered inside here, and we'll have a look at how this works. But at the moment, if we go back to our app.js file in here and we're sending hello world, we actually want to render this index.js page here. So what we can do, instead of res.send, we can do res.render. And then we can tell it which page do we want to render, and in this case, it's going to be called index. Like so, we don't have to specify .ejs, it's smart enough to do this, and we should be good to go. If we save this, save everything so far that we've done, and let's go back to the browser and refresh. Now, as you can see, this changed. We're getting dashboard, and also if I do right click and view page source, you will see that we're getting the HTML here, and inside the HTML, we're getting the dashboard rendered, which is exactly what we want. And this is basically going to be reusable layout. Now you can create many layouts for different pages and tell each page which layout to use, but this is going to be the default one, which we're going to be using for this tutorial. Let's close this. And the next thing that I wanted to show you super quickly is that we are only rendering the page, but if you wish to pass some data like a title and description, we can do that. Later on, we'll move the routes to another, but just to show you, inside here, we can create a const, and this const can be called locals. And this is going to be equals, in curly brackets, we're going to have title, and then the title can be Node.js. And I'm going to do comma, and then let's do description, and inside here, let's do free Node.js user management system. Like so. Save this, and now if you want to pass this data, we can do comma outside this, and then we can do in curly brackets. We can do, if you have a few things that we want to pass, then we can do them in curly brackets, and then we can say locals, and then you can list a few more with comma. But if we're passing just one, we don't have to put them in curly brackets, and we can just do this, and that will work. Now you might be wondering, well, how is this going to affect our page? If you go back to the main.ejs, which is our main layout, inside here, inside the title, now we can actually grab that data. And to do this, I'm going to remove document, and I'm going to start writing EJS, and then I'm going to do at the bottom here, EJS output value, and inside here, I can just do locals.title. So this is going to go inside locals and grab the title, and I can do exactly the same thing with the description. The HTML description is a little bit different, so it's meta name equals description, and then we have the content usually, and the content we can write with EJS, put the EJS out, and inside here we can do locals dot description. And also we need to close this. Save this and make sure that you save app.js as well. And now if you go back to the website, currently you see that we have document here, and if I refresh, you'll see that we're getting Node.js, which is the title that we're passing. And also if I do right click and view page source, you'll see that we're getting the title in here, and we're getting the content which we passed from here. So that's a good one to know. Of course, you can render this pretty much anywhere you like. So I can grab this if I wish to and paste it in an H1 here, save it. And if I go refresh, here it is, rendered, here we go, just like so. We don't want this, I'm going to remove it. Now, the next sensible thing to do would be to set up our layout. Obviously, we have a very basic layout so far, but what I'm going to be using today is Bootstrap to make our website look presentable, and it's just going to save us a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is go back to the browser, go to getbootstrap.com, and as of currently, we're using version 5.3, and we need to go here to read document, click on this, scroll down a little bit, and as you can see, they're giving you a little demo, a few instructions. What we need to do from here is grab the link, the CSS link. So I'm going to copy this and paste this into our main layout, maybe underneath the meta description here. I'm going to paste it, view will wrap, so you can see a little bit better. And also I want to grab the JavaScript, just in case later on we'll probably end up doing some pop-ups and you might want to experiment with stuff. So grab the JavaScript and let's paste it here above the ending body tag, like so. Save this, let's go back to Bootstrap one more time, and let's look into Bootstrap icons. Search for Bootstrap icons, and then if you click on this learn more about Bootstrap icons link, this will lead you to icons.getbootstrap.com. And in order to install this, click on install, and here it is, the CDN. I'm going to grab this one here, as it's the easiest way to do. And then I'm going to paste the Bootstrap icons inside here. All websites should be using Bootstrap now. And if I go back to the website super quickly, and if I refresh, you will see that the font changed to the Bootstrap default one. Now I also want to set up a custom CSS right now, as it makes sense as we are doing all this. So what I'm going to do is the styles here, I'm going to create a custom one. So this is going to be link CSS, and this link CSS, let's call it main.css, and this is going to live in our CSS folder that we're going to create right now. And as I said earlier, if you go to app.js, we set up a public folder for static files. So let's create this public folder. So inside the Explorer, new folder, public, and this folder is going to be storing our CSS, images, and JavaScript. So inside here, let's do CSS, and let's create our file. So main.css, and also let's create one more for images, img for short, and we're good. Now, if you open the main.css file, let's super quickly test to see whether this is working by doing body, and let's change the background color to aqua. Save this, make sure that you have this saved as well, and let's go back to the browser and refresh. As you can see, all CSS is working, so we can continue with our project. Let's go back, let's remove this because we definitely don't want it, and now we can start building our layout. Now for this layout, I did use some inspiration from the examples here. So if you go to the getbootstrapwebsite.com, and then you'll be able to see a lot of snippets that you can copy and paste now, and they will just work. But the one that I used heavily is this one here, which is called dashboard. I'm actually not going to copy everything from here because I've heavily modified it. But what I'm going to do is potentially I will create a little file for you that you can copy and paste, because it will contain some CSS that I'm going to show you now. So make sure you pause the video, copy the CSS, and then we can continue. So what I'm going to do now is go back to our CSS, to our custom CSS, and paste the CSS that we need. Now this CSS is only going to adjust a few colors and fonts. It's not going to do anything too drastic, but it will make the layout look a little bit better than if we don't have it. So I'll definitely have this linked in the description below, so you don't have to type it. It's just, as I said, it's just changing fonts and so on. That's the first thing that we need to do, and now we can close it. Now let's start building some of the parts for websites, starting with our header. Now, instead of, we could potentially write the header here, the sidebar, and so on, but we can also stay organized by creating different partials. If you go back to the views here, and then if we create a new folder, and we can call this one partials, these are going to be partial files such as header, footer, sidebar, and so on. So let's start by creating our header.ejs, and let's create one more, which is going to be our sidebar.ejs. So inside header, let's just put something like header for now, and for the sidebar, let's just put sidebar. So what we need to do now is go back to our main EJS layout here, and let's include them. In order to do this, we can start typing EJS. And then if you scroll down here, we have include. So if I type this, this is going to write the include function, and then we can tell it what to include. And in this case, we need to go ... and then slash partials, and then slash header, and then .ejs, like so. Save this. Let's go back to our website, refresh, and as you can see that we're getting the header in here, which is great. And now we need to do exactly the same thing with the sidebar. For the sidebar, we can include it here for now. So I'm going to do sidebar and save. If we go back, here we go. We have header and sidebar, and now we can start constructing our page. First of all, if you're familiar with Bootstrap, I'm going to be using a fluid container, which is going to make everything full width. And then inside it, we can do rows and so on. So what I'm going to do is .container fluid, and this is going to create a div with the class of container fluid. And with this div, I want to wrap pretty much all the content, including the sidebar and the body. So all the content is going to be living in this container. So I'm going to do a space, and also I'm going to do a row. So div with the class name of row, like so, and close it and wrap everything as well. Save. And now for the body here, and I'm going to wrap this in another div. In fact, this is going to be just called main, which is HTML5 element, and I'm going to wrap the body like so. And this is going to have a couple of classes. So we're going to have a col-medium-9, ms for margin start, and this is going to be small to auto. We're going to have this as column-large-10, and then padding to the x-axis, we're going to have our medium screens to be 4, like so. And that's pretty much our main layout done. Let's go back and refresh. As you can see, nothing interesting is happening just yet. We do have our content here pushed to the side, but we'll fix this in a second. So now let's start building our header. If you go back to the Explorer and click on partials header, let's close everything else. And now we can focus on the header. All right, so I'm actually going to give you all the HTML for this, so you can pause the video, copy and paste it. So let's copy and paste it, and I'm going to explain it. This is a very simple header that you can copy and paste from the Bootstrap website. Essentially, we're creating a header in here with the class nav of navbar dark. We're making the header sticky with a dark background, and on medium screens, we are doing no wrap with flex, padding of 0, and we're giving it a shadow. Then we have a link, which is just a navbar brand. This link is containing our logo, and the logo is going to our homepage always. So if you click on the logo, it's just going to go to the homepage. That's pretty much it. Then we have a toggle button for our mobile navigation. So when you go on mobile, this is going to toggle the hamburger menu. And the last thing that we have inside here is our search form, which has an input, and that's pretty much it. We don't have a button because this is going to work on enter. So if I was to save this and go back to the project and refresh, you'll see how simple this is. It's just a navbar with the logo and a search bar. Now let's save this and go back, close it, and now let's have a look at the sidebar. Open it first of all, and we need to replace this. So I'm going to copy a very basic sidebar that I copied again from Bootstrap and modified it a little bit. I will give you the file so you can copy this and save us a little bit of time. But essentially this is a navigation with the ID of sidebar. And on medium screens, we have the column set to 3. On large screens, we have the column set to 2. On medium screens, we have it displayed as block. And we have the background as light. And this is also going to be collapsible because on mobile, it's going to pop out with our hamburger menu. And essentially inside here, we have 2 lists is where you can list your pages, your navigation. And inside here, we have links. This is going to be going to slash, which is going to be homepage. And then if we do create an about page, we can just put /about. I have a nice icon from Bootstrap icons and just about. Save this and let's go back to the project and refresh. All right, now we can close Bootstrap super quickly and we can focus on our routes. If we go back to the app.js file in here, the first thing that I'm going to do is scroll down to a home route, and we're in fact going to be changing this and moving it to its own folder just so we're a little bit more organized. I'm going to comment this by doing Control and slash, and this is going to comment it out. If we get a 404 error, so if you go to any page that does not exist, we can do a 404, handle 404. And inside here, we're going to do app.get. And then inside here, we can do an asterisk like so. And then this is going to be a request, response, an arrow function like so. And then inside here, there are a couple of ways we can do this. We can just render some text if you wish, or we can even create a page super quickly. What I'm going to do is res.status. And then this is going to be 404. And then we can render a 404 page. So .render. Like so, and the page that we want to render, we can just go 404 and we need to create it. So if we go back to the Explorer, inside our views is where we can create our 404 page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very lazy and just create a new page and just do 404.ejs. And let's do an H1 404, save. That's going to be our 404 page. Of course, you can design it and make it nice. But now if I go to the website, you should be able to see 404, and this is because we don't actually have any routes. I can demonstrate this by going to app.js and comment this. So our homepage is going to be working now. Like so. We have the dashboard, but if I go to a non-existing page, about, you can see that we're getting 404, which is great. Let's go back, and now we can create our routes. All routes are going to be living in a folder called server. Let's create this folder called server, and inside server is where we can create another folder called routes. The routes maybe we can call for this project customer.js, and this is because you could potentially have multiple routes, for example, login routes, user routes, dashboard routes, whatever. You'll see how this works in a second, but we do need to, let me close everything so we don't get confused. But inside the app.js, we do need to tell where our routes are. So instead of doing the home route inside here, what I'm going to do is grab this. In fact, I'm going to copy it for a sec and then modify it in a second. And what we need to do is put our routes in here. And then I can do app.use / and then inside here we can do require. And then we can do the route, which is going to be .server /route /customer, and we don't have to specify .js in here. It's smart enough to do this. Let me tidy this up and we should be good to go. Now, if we go back to customer.js, there are definitely a couple of things that we need to do in order to make this work. First of all, we need to import Express just like we did in app.js. So I'm going to do const express equals require, and then we require Express like so. And then we do need to include the Express router in order to make this work. So const router equals express dot router like so. And now a very important thing that you need to do is export this router. This is an important one that you could potentially forget, so I'm saying it now. So what you need to do is module dot export, and then we export the router. Now this should work. So essentially inside here, we can list our routes. Let me put a comment, customer routes or app routes, whatever you wish to call it. And let's start by building our first one. And let's have a look at how this is going to work. So this is going to be very similar to what we've done here, but instead we're going to be making controllers. So inside here, I'm going to do router.get. So we are getting a page. So when we go on a route, we're not posting anything. We'll do multiple ones later on just to show you how it works. And then we're getting the home page in this case. And then we can create a custom controller for this. Let's say we call it a customer controller. And then inside this customer controller, we can call it dashboard or homepage, whatever. Let's say homepage. Now we don't actually have this customer controller just yet, and we need to create it. So if we go to the server, we need to create a new folder called controllers. Inside here, we control the route, and inside here, we control some of the logic. And the controller in this case, we can do customer controller. .js, just like we've done it inside here. And now we need to include this customer controller inside our route so we can make it work. And in order to do this, we can do const customer controller because we're using it here. And then require. And then we require the file that we just created. So this is going to be /controllers/customer controller like so. And you can create multiple controllers if your application is a little bit bigger than this. So now that we have our homepage route in here, we actually need to create this homepage function. So if we go to the customer controller, we can create it in here. So what I'm going to do is copy this comment. And I'm going to say this is going to be a get route, and this is going to be our homepage. And I know I pasted this, but this is not going to work. We actually need to have an export called homepage now. So what I'm going to do, grab this super quickly and let's build it from scratch. So exports, and then inside here, we can do .homepage equals an asynchronous function because we're going to be doing some database stuff in a second. So request, response, and then this is going to be an arrow function. And then inside here, we can do some of the logic. So I'm going to remove this. This is pretty much the same as this. And let's see what we need. So to start with, we can actually deal with this. I think this is going to be absolutely fine. So we have our title and description, and we also render in the index view page here. Okay, we have everything connected. This is connected. Save everything. And let's test super quickly. So if you refresh, we're getting a 404 because we're under about. So I'm going to go to the homepage, and still we're getting the dashboard, which is great. Our routes and controllers are working, which is awesome. Okay, so now that we have our foundation created, we can create our database and include it to our project. So today we're going to be using MongoDB. Navigate to mongodb.com. And if you're new to this, go to try free. And then inside here, you can sign up by using the form on the right side. I've zoomed in quite a lot so you can see. But all you need to do is put your first name, last name, company, email, password, and agree to their terms and conditions. Or you can just use single sign in with Google if you wish to. I've already got an account, so what I'm going to do is go back and just sign in super quickly. All right, so I've logged in, and your dashboard might look something similar to this. If you're new to this, you'll probably just get an empty page here telling you to create your first cluster database. But because I've already got a few, it's actually showing me cluster 0. So hopefully I'll be able to create a new one for this project for free. So let's have a look. The first thing that we need to do is go here and create a new project. Let's give it a name. So I'm going to call my Node.js user management system tutorial. Next, then we're going to select our project owner. So this is me. Create project. And now this is going to say that the current IP is not added. and you will not be able to connect to the database from this address. We definitely need to add this, so I'm going to click add current IP. And this is going to add my current IP, and now I'll be able to access the database. That's an important one. And if you didn't get this, you can always go to network access and re-add your IP from here. Now let's build our database. Click on build a database. And inside here, we have a couple of options. Today, I'm going to be using the M0, which is a free database, storage of 512 megabytes. It's absolutely fine for testing and messing around. And now if you click on this, select the provider that you wish to choose. I'm going to be using AWS in this case. And for the region, I'm going to go with the closest one to me, which is Ireland, I believe. So I'm going to go with that. And then you can give your cluster a name. I'm going to call mine cluster 0, which is the default value. Create. Now this is going to ask us to create a username and password, which is going to allow us to have read and write access to the database. So for the username, I'm going to call mine Ruddy. And for the password, I'm going to auto generate a secure password, and I'm going to copy this. So make sure that you copy the password, and you can actually paste it inside the .env file for a second. So this is the password, and my username is Ruddy. I already know it. I'm going to go back and just create the user. All right, we have the user created. And now we scroll down a little bit more. We have the IP added, and our cluster has finished provisioning, which is great. The last thing that we need to do is click finish and close. And this is going to say congratulations on setting up rules. I'm going to hide the quick start and then go to databases. Right, now that we have our database in here, what we need to do is click on connect. Click connect and then go here at the bottom where it says connect using VS Code. Click on this and this will give you a string. Connect your MongoDB deployment. So we need to copy this string and paste this string into our environment here. So we actually need to give it a name, and for this I'm gonna give it a name of MongoDB with capital letters underscore URI and then equals the string that we just copied and pasted. So as you can see, we have the username in here, which is already set from MongoDB, but we do need to replace the password. So for the password, I'm going to grab it from here, remove my username and paste the password inside here. And then the rest is going to be the cluster that we just created. And also this is going to be I believe this is going to be the database name. So you can call this whatever you like. I'm going to leave it as test and I'll show you how it works later on. Save this, save your .env file, go back to the database and close. If you go to browse collection, we won't have anything created yet because we haven't inserted any data, but we'll get to that. So now we should be able to connect to our database through our application and start reading and writing to the database. Now let's set this up. First of all, inside the server folder is where we're going to be creating a new folder calling config. Inside this config is where I'm going to create a new file called db, database for short, and then .js. And inside here is where we're going to be making our connections. So const mongoose equals require, and then we require mongoose, like so. Save. Now we need to do mongoose dot set, and then inside here we do strict query like so, and we set this to false. This will essentially avoid strict mode for query filters. Now we need to make a connection to our database, and in order to do this we can do const connect database, and then this is going to be an asynchronous function, so async like so, and this is going to be an arrow function, and inside this arrow function we can do a try catch statement, and inside the try we can do const con equals await, and we're doing mongoose dot connect, and then we're going to bring the connection string from our environment file here. So we're going to do process .env and then MongoDB underscore URI. And this is exactly the same name that we have in here. So in fact, you can copy and paste it and then close this. Now let's console log every time we connect to the database, let's console log this. So we can do console log. And inside single slanted quotes, we can do database connected. And then we can do the connection string. So $, curly brackets, and then con. And then this is going to be connection dot host. So essentially when we connect to the database, this is going to have an object that contains a connection and then host. That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good, and it's because I didn't close it. And now, and the last thing that I'm going to do is catch the error. So let's do console.log and then we do error. Perfect. So this connection DB hasn't been used anywhere and we need to do that. So in order to be able to use this in our application, we need to export it. So we can do module.export equals, and then we export the connection DB here. Like so. Now we should be able to include this in our app.js file and use it. So let's save this, close it, close everything. Make sure that you save the connection string in here, close it, and like that. Now, if you go up here at the app.js file and underneath maybe EJS layout, we can do a const and we can do connect DB. And this is going to be equals require the file that we just created, which is under .server/config/database. And now we should be able to run this, and I'm going to run it somewhere after here. So I'm going to do connect DB and just run the function connect to database. Save this, save everything that we've done. And now if you save the Nodemon would have restarted the application, and you should be able to see database connected and the string that is connected to the MongoDB string, which means that we are actually connected and we can start reading and writing documents. So what I'm going to show you super quickly is that if I made an error inside the DB, let's say the connection string was wrong. In fact, let's go to .env and let's say the password was wrong. I'm going to put 1 here and save it. So if I go back, you'll probably see, I think that when I save the .env file, the actual application doesn't restart, but if I save something else, let's say I make some space and save here, you will see that the application just restarted and now we're getting Mongo server error bat auth, which means bat authentication. In fact, it says here, authentication failed. So if you get this, it's probably because you didn't put the right username and password, or shrink, I guess. So let's put that back, obviously remove that and close it, and let's restart the application. So we get the database connected here, which is great. If you go back to application as well, you can refresh it and it should work as it should. All right, so in our dashboard is where we're going to be listing all the customers. But to make it easier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by creating some stars in here and a button so we can actually, first of all, add some customers. We're going to do the form. And then when we add some customers, we'll be able to display them in here. So let's do that super quickly. And if we go back to the views and then index.ejs, I'm going to do some super quick styling inside here for our dashboard. So I'm going to create a div with the classes. So it's going to be a long one. So this is going to be display flex.justify content between, which is going to push stuff on the left side and the right side. You will see in a second. Then we're going to have flex wrap, flex medium no wrap, align item center, padding top of 3, padding bottom of 2, margin bottom of 3, and border bottom. Right, this is a long one, I know. Let's go to view, world wrap just in case. And then I'm going to do an H1 dashboard. This H1 is going to have a class name of H2, just so it's a little bit smaller than H1. And now I want to create a button that is going to allow us to go to the page where we can create a new user, new customer in this case. So what I'm going to do is create a div with the class of btn-toolbar, margin bottom of 2, margin bottom of 2, margin bottom medium to be 0. Press enter, and inside this div, I'm going to create another div, btn.group margin end of 2, and inside here we're going to do a link, so a href, and this link is going to go to the add page just to keep it simple. And the class name for this link is going to be button, because I want it to look like a button, btn small, and then to make it small I can do btn sm. I want this button to be outline, so btn outline, and then we can use the secondary color. Cool. Close this, close the link here, and just put plus new user or customer, and that should be good to go. So if you type this up, save it, let's go back and refresh. As you can see, this is looking pretty nice, and now we have the new user button here, which maybe needs to be a different color instead of gray, but that's fine. Now let's create this page and then do the form. So what we're going to do, go back to the server, route, and then customer. Inside here, we're going to create another get request, which means that we want to render the add page where we're going to be adding a customer. So to do this, it's going to be exactly the same. We can do Alt, Shift, and down, and this is going to copy this line here. And instead, we're just going to call it add for adding customers. So customer controller, we can call this something like maybe add customer like so, and we should be good to go. Now we actually need to create this inside our customer controller. So if you go to controllers, customer controller, and somewhere below this, I can grab the comment. Let's put it around here. We can do get, and then this is going to be new customer form. And now we can do exactly the same thing as here. So I'm going to copy this, paste it, and we're going to say export dot add customer. Of course, this needs to match the one here. So add customer, make sure you copy and paste it if you wish. And then we have an asynchronous function with the request and the response. Inside here, we can change the title if you wish. Add new customer Nodejs, and then you can change the description if you wish. I'm going to leave it as it is. So in this case, we're still rendering the index page, which is not what we want. We actually want to create a custom customer page. And in order to be a little bit more organized, this could stay the home page here, but we can also create another folder for all of our customer pages if you wish to. So inside here, we can do customer, and maybe we can add all of the customer pages inside there. I know that the home page is here, but if you wish to, you can move it. But it makes sense that the home page is here anyway. And now we need to create our add page. So inside here, I'm going to put add, and then inside the customer, I'm going to create a new page called add EJS, like so. So this is going to be our customer page. And let's just put something like H1 customer. Let's save this. Make sure that you save the controller, and this is going to the add page. And in fact, this is wrong. We need to go to customer now because it's inside this folder, sorry. And then add. So now if we save this, make sure that you have this get route add as well. That goes to the add customer controller. We should be good to go. If we save this and refresh, everything is looking good. And if I click on add user, which goes to the /add page, you will see that we're getting customer. So our customer page is now working. And in fact, this doesn't look very good. So what I'm going to do is let me go to the index.js page, and let's copy this to speed up the process. So this is going to be our header. And I'm going to go to the add page here and paste it. So instead of dashboard, let's say customer. And instead of having a link, maybe you can just do a button. So I need to open the button, close it, remove the link. And my idea was just maybe you can just do some, I don't know, informational stuff. So let's put a question mark. That's not gonna do much, to be fair. Let's go back, refresh, and that's looking a little bit better. Maybe you can just do something like about this page, I don't know, giving some information, or just remove it. Right, now let's start building this page. So underneath our customer header here, if we can call it that, I'm gonna do a breadcrumb. So I'm gonna start with adding a column and padding, and then padding to the y-axis to be 3. Inside this, I'm going to create a row, so that row, and then inside this row, I'm going to create a column. So inside this column, I'm going to be creating a breadcrumb. So what I'm going to do is nav, and then inside this nav, in fact, this is going to have area label equals breadcrumb. And inside here, we can create an ordered list, or L, like so. And this ordered list, we can have a class name of breadcrumb-item, like so. And inside here, we're going to have a list now. And this list is going to have a class name of breadcrumb-item. And then the first one, the first item is going to be a link to our homepage. So we do slash, and then inside here, we'll put dashboard, like so. Save it. We need one more. So Alt Shift down, and this is going to duplicate. And instead of breadcrumb item, we need to add one more, active. So this is the active link, which we are on right now. And this is going to be new customer, like so. And in fact, we don't need the link here. Sorry. So let's remove the link because this is not going to be clickable, and save. Now, the reason I created a row and a column is because I wanted to have 2 of them. So inside here, we're going to do another call. This time, this call is going to have text-end and then font weight to be lighter. And inside here, I'm going to do something like B, bold, and user ID. And let's save this. In fact, this is not going to be relevant to this page, but it's going to save us a lot of time for the next page that we're going to do. So let's tidy this up super quickly. And save. If you go back to the page, refresh, you will see that, right, and that needs to be, we need to remove the dash from here, and also the OL of class breadcrumb item needs to be, we need to remove the item. Save this, and now if you go back, refresh, you will see that we're getting the dashboard link, going back to the dashboard, and the new customer. So if I click on that, we're going back to the dashboard, and if we click on new user, we're going back to the new user. Perfect. Now let's start building our first forms so we can insert some data. In order to do this, let's tidy things up and move after this. So this is where we're going to be creating our form. In fact, let me close everything for now and save. So we're going to be creating a totally normal form that is going to post data and save it to the database. Let's start by writing a normal form like so. And the action, which is very important, is going to be /add. So we want to post data, and I'm going to show you how we can deal with that in a second. And then inside here, we're going to put the method of post. So we're posting data. We're going to have to create a few inputs, but once we've created 2, it's going to get easier. So let's start with creating a div with a class of row, and then form group dot margin bottom of 4, 2 columns. So col 1, and then inside the first column, I'm going to have a label. So this label is going to be for the first name, and I'm just going to say first name like so. And then after the label, I'm going to create an input, and this input is going to be the type of text, and then it's going to have the class name of form control. The ID is going to be first name. The name, which is very important, this is what's gonna get all data across, so we're gonna put that as first name as well to make it easier. The value is gonna be empty, but I'm gonna put a placeholder of first name just in case. And also we can do some validation with the browser without doing any JavaScript, and we can just put required like so. One thing about Bootstrap is that you can actually do a lot of validations with JavaScript and Bootstrap, but to save time, I'm not going to be doing this today. So I'm going to do it the lazy way of doing it with this required, but it's going to work just absolutely fine. And also when we do the model or database, that's going to have some validation as well. I do want to mention that I do have a video on backend validation. If you want to check this out, I'll link it in the description below. Now, the next thing that we can do is literally copy this and paste it. And where it says first name, we just need to replace everything with last name. So last name, this is going to be last name. So I'm going to copy, the ID needs to go last name needs to go last name, the placeholder needs to go last name, save, and this is also required. Now that we're done with this, we can actually do another row. So I can copy this, paste it, and let's just add 2 more fields. This is going to be a telephone, and the label is going to be for tel, just for short. And then I'm going to say ID tel, name is going to be tel, value is going to be empty, placeholder is going to be telephone, and we can also have it required. The next one is going to be email. So this is going to be email. Let's change this to email as well. And now we can replace the ID to email, name to email, value empty, placeholder can be just email. And then we can set this as required as well. And now we can do another div for the customer details. Maybe one thing that I just spotted now, this needs to be from group. Sorry about that. So I need to change it everywhere. Oh, it's only 2 of them. Okay, that's all good. So what I'm going to do is copy this from group, paste in here, and I'm going to remove the first one. And in fact, I'm going to remove the col like so. We probably don't need the row either, and we should be good to go. This is going to be the customer details. So I'm going to have label for details. And I'm going to say customer details. And then this is going to be, this is not going to be an input. This is going to be a text area. And then this text area is going to have a name of details, ID of details, rows of 12. And I'm going to say a placeholder to be customer details. Save this. And the last thing that I'm going to do is copy this one more time, paste it, and inside here, I'm going to create or submit button. And inside here, I'm going to do a button. And this button, this is very important, is going to be the type of submit. This is what's going to submit the data. And now we're going to do a class of btn primary, and then add customer. Save. If you go back to the page, hopefully we should be able to see the page. This looks a little bit odd. Let me have a look at what I've broken. So the text area probably needs some classes. So it needs to have a class name of form control. Save this. Let's go back. And that's looking a lot better. So if I was to submit this, you'll see that we do have some browser validation. And this is purely because we have the required here. All right, now we need to create the post route. So as of now, we have a get route so we can go to the customer page. But when we click on this, we need to be able to post data. Let's go back to our route customer, and maybe let's just make a space. And here where we have the add customer controller, we can copy this. And instead of get, we need to change this to post because we're going to be posting data. And this can stay the same. So we want to post on the same page, but instead of add, we can maybe do post like so, and we need to create this. So if I was to do control and click on this one here, this is going to lead me to the controllers, customer controller here, where we have all of the controllers. And now we need to create this controller. So what I'm going to do is copy this and then go here. And then instead of get, I'm going to do post, and then, I don't know, create new customer. Something like this. And instead of add customer, this needs to be post as well. Very important. It needs to match the route here. post customer. And now you can change the title if you wish, new customer added. And we want to render the same page, which is absolutely fine. Now, before we do anything with the database, let's have a look at how we can actually grab the data that we're posting. So we have the forms, each form has a name, and we can use that name to actually grab the information and post it. So what I'm going to do is when I click add, I'm going to post some information and we want to display it in the console here. So to do this, we're going to do all of it in the post controller here. And what we can do is do the console.log, and then we can do the request and the body information. If you remember earlier in this tutorial, inside the app.js, we added the, we added the express URL encoded, and this is what's going to help us to grab the data. So let me show you what I mean. So inside here, we have console.log request body. And if I save this, and if you go back, all right, let's put some telephone numbers, an email, and then customer detail. Let's post this. And now, as you can see, the page posted and it rendered, but nothing actually happened visually. So if I go back to the console, you should be able to see that we actually got the data that we just posted. So we have the first name, the last name, the telephone, email, and details. So we actually can use this now to post into the database. But before we do that, we need to create the database fields. Kind of like if you're familiar with MySQL, you need to create each field. So let me show you how we can do that. And this is called model. So we need to model our data. If we go back to the Explorer and under, let me untoggle everything. If we go to the server, we can create a new folder called models. Inside this models folder is where we can create our customer model. Inside here, we can do customer.js. And now we need to require Mongoose. So let's do const mongoose equals require, and then we are requiring mongoose like so. And now we need to create a schema. In order to do this, we can do const schema equals mongoose and then dot schema. And now we can start creating our customer schema by doing const customer schema equals new schema. And inside here, in curly brackets, we can start creating our schema. So we're going to have the same fields as in our form. So we're going to start with first name. We can do different options. Today, I'm going to keep it simple. So I'm going to do a type. And then this is going to be a string. I can set this as a required field by doing required. Set to true. And now we can pretty much copy and paste this by doing comma. And let's just copy this, paste it, and change this to last name because it's the same. It's just a string. It's required. And then we can do the same for tel or telephone. So string required, email. We can do string required, created at. So this is when we create the record. It might be useful to know that. So I'm going to do created at. And instead of type string, I'm going to do date. This is going to be automatically created. And the last one that I'm going to do, just in case, which is going to be the updated at. So if we update our record, maybe we can put that in there as well. And I'm going to do the type of date again. And this can be required. Or do we need them required? I don't know. Maybe that doesn't need to be required. And the last thing that we need to do is to export this by doing at the bottom here, we can do module.export equals mongoose.model. And then inside here, we put the customer model, call it customer, and then we export the customer schema. All right, cool. We have our schema configured here, but we actually need to include this into our customer controller if we wish to use it. So if we close this, let's go back to the customer controller, which is under server controllers customer controller. And at the top here, we can include the customer controller so by doing const customer. This is going to be the keyword that we're going to be using later, you will see. And then this is going to be equals require. And then we require /models/customer like so. And we also need to add mongoose in here as well. Const mongoose equals require. And then inside here, we require mongoose like so. Right, let's have a look at how we can actually use this model now in order to be able to insert the data. Let's go back here at the bottom where we're posting the new customer, and we've already saw that we can grab the data by doing rec.body, and we were able to display it inside here, which is great. If we go back in here, I can leave this in here just so you can have as an example. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to structure the data as a new customer so it's easier to work with. So what we're going to do is const new customer. And inside here, I'm going to create new customer. And then in curly brackets, we're going to start typing the fields. So for example, first name, they're important. And then we can grab the data from the rec.body. So inside here, we can grab first name, last name, tail, email, and details by doing rec.body. So what I'm going to do is copy this. And in fact, if you wish to, you can just do it manually. You can just put RAD and that will be inserted. But instead, of course, I want it to be dynamic. So we can do rec.body and I'm going to put .first name to access that object. So we can do, so with a comma, we can do Alt Shift down and we can change this to last name. I can copy this, paste it, and then I can continue doing this for the rest. So maybe details, copy, tail, this is going to be tail, copy, email, this is going to be email. In fact, in our model, just in case, remove the created at required. Okay, just in case, let's remove that. All right, now that we have this object here and we can get all the data, very important thing inside here is that we're using an asynchronous function and we can wrap everything into a try catch. For example, inside here, I can do try catch. We definitely don't need this because we're going to be redirecting. Let's close it. And inside the try is where I'm going to res.render. So I'm going to move that inside here. But we need to create that record. And to do this, it's actually fairly simple. We can do await customer, which is our customer model that we inserted here at the top, customer. And then we can do .create. And then we can pass the data from the new customer object in here and save. Now, when we do this, what I'm going to do instead of res.render, I'm going to actually do res.redirect. On the res.redirect, I'm just going to do in single quotes slash, so we can go to the dashboard and I'm going to show you how we can use flash messages just so we can say, okay, a new user has been added. And then let's tidy things up. And then for the catch, let's just do console.log and then the error. Oops. Like so. Okay, this should be good enough in order to be able to insert data. So let's go back to the browser super quickly. Inside here, inside the collection, let's refresh. Now you might be wondering, well, how did you create the test and the customers? Well, first of all, the test was actually created when because we saved the project here, nodemon refreshed, and it went to .env, and this is where test comes from. So that's why you can change it to whatever you like. And then the second reason that we have the table there, the customer table, is because we created the model in here, and we've actually included it, and we actually included it in our project, and that's how I created it. So saving this, save absolutely everything. By the way, I removed the required for the created at and the updated at just in case. And yep, save everything. And now let's have a look whether we get some data. So I'm going to go back to the website, dashboard, maybe click add new user, and then I'm going to put RAD, the telephone number, the email, and then Node.js, add customer. And now we're going to dashboard, which is a good sign. And now if we go back to the database here, there is a refresh button on the right side here. And here we go. We have our first object in here. So we have a unique ID that we can use later on in order to query customers. We have the first name, the last name, the telephone, and the email, which is awesome. All right, so everything is looking good, but created that and the updated that didn't work. And this is because this is where I got a little bit confused. But basically inside our models, I forgot to do something. This is when I added required and I was like, that doesn't look good. Okay, so instead of, so type date is correct, but we need to set a default created at and default updated at. And in order to do this, we can just do comma, and inside here we can do default. And then the default value for this can be just the JavaScript date.now, like so. And we can copy this and paste it. So comma, updated that is going to be default date now. So you can do default values inside here as well. Save this. Let's go back and let's try to insert another record. So dashboard, add new user. I'm going to put Bob A123. Then I'm going to put email, Bob at the website, and then Bob's details. Add customer. And now if you go back to the database, refresh. Okay, now we have two records in here. I'm going to delete the first one. And now we should have the last record in here, which is Bob, last name A, telephone number, email. And now we have the created at and the updated at, which we can use in our application. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video super quickly and create a couple of records so we have something in our database. And potentially I'll include those records so you can add them as well, so you don't have to do it manually. Basically what I've done is I've created a super quick query that is just, there's a wait, customer, insert many, and then I'm just listing a couple of customers here like so, just so we have some data. And I'm going to copy this and make sure that you have this as well if you wish to, or I can just put it as a JSON file and then you can do this. Okay, so save. I'm going to save this, and hopefully I haven't tested it, but we have one object in here. Hopefully if I go to dashboard and if I go to add new, now if you refresh, I should have a couple of users. Okay, cool. All right, we have a couple of users, and now we can start looking at our dashboard and the other pages. Cool. All right, I'm definitely going to need to remove this, otherwise it's just going to keep adding stuff. So since we just learned how to add data, one thing that you might notice is that when we added data, it redirected us to the dashboard, and we didn't really know that the data was inserted. And for this, you could use flash messages. It's a little bit confusing, but super simple. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So in app.js, we need to include press flash messages, and we can do that maybe around here. So what I'm going to do is const, in curly brackets, I'm going to bring flash. And then this is going to be equals require. And then inside here, we're going to do express flash messages like so, and save. So in order to be able to use flash messages, we actually need to bring express session as well. So we're going to be using cookies. And to do this, we can do const session. And inside here, we can do equals require. And then inside here, we can do express session like so. Somewhere under static files, maybe here, I'm going to do another comment, and this is going to be called express session. And I'm going to do a very basic example from their documentation. So let's do app.use, and inside here, we need to do session. And there are a couple of options. For example, we need to set a secret word. For this example, I'm going to keep it simple. Resave. I'm going to put to false. Then we have save initialize. This needs to be set to true. and then we're going to have cookie. And then this needs to be set to max age, and then the age of the cookie, 1000 times 60 times 60 times 24 times 7, which is 1 week. Okay, that should do the job. Now we need to apply the Flash messages middleware. So somewhere inside here, and to do this, we can do app.use Flash, and then inside here we can do session key name Flash message. Make sure you close this, and that's looking good. All right, restart the application and something is not looking good. Flash is not a function. All right, so I'm getting an error saying Flash is not a function. And originally I was thinking that it could be Express Flash messages, but Express Flash message. But what I've done wrong is when I was installing Express Flash message, I actually installed Express Flash messages. So what we need to do is close our application, and then we can do clear. And I'm going to do npm uninstall, and I'm going to do Express Flash messages, so we can remove this. And now I'm going to do npm install I for install, and remove the s at the end. So press enter. Okay, hopefully this should work now. So now we have message in here, which is good. Save it. And now we have, so now we are requiring the message. We also have the Express session in here, and we have the Flash message middleware. Save this. Let's go back to PowerShell and let's do npm start. And now, okay, our application is now working. If I go back to the website, everything is working, and now we can start using the Flash messages. Cool. All right, to do this, it's actually fairly simple. So what I'm going to do is close app.js. So we have rest.redirect, but before that, we can create our Flash message. So I'm going to do await request.flash. And now inside here, I'm going to do info. And now we can do new customer has been added. This requires one more step, and we need to go to the dashboard page, which is here at the top, which is our home page at the moment. And we need to include the message in here. So const message equals await request.consume consume Flash, and then inside here we put info. Now we should be able to pass this message just like we're passing the locals, but because we're passing two objects, so we need to put everything into curly brackets like so, and space them out with a comma. So comma, and then message. And in fact, instead of message, put this as messages, sorry, like so, and save it. And now if you go back to the Explorer and open in views, open the home page or dashboard page. Inside here, just to show you, first of all, I'm going to do EJS, and then I'm going to do EJS out here, and I'm going to display the messages like so. Now, if you go back to the browser and refresh, you will see that we have nothing. We have no messages. But if we go to add new user, let's add a new user super quickly. Add customer. Now we have new customer has been added, and this comes from the controller here at the bottom, which is new customer has been added. To make this look a little bit better, what we can do is wrap this into a Bootstrap alert. So to do this, we can do .alert success .alert dismissible .fade .show. Press enter, and inside here is where we're gonna put the actual message. We can set the row for this to be alert, just like in the Bootstrap documentation. And then we can create the dismissal button, which is gonna be a button. What the type of button? the class of btn close data dash bootstrap dash dismiss equals alert. And then we can do area label of close and then close the button. All right. Hopefully, if we refresh now, we're getting our alert here. We're actually getting an empty alert here. And there are two ways of doing this. If you have more messages, if this object contains more messages, we can wrap this into a for loop, or you can simply check whether the message is empty or not. So the first way would be, let's just do a for loop like so. Oh no, for each. Here we go, each. And now if we have more messages in here, we can definitely display them. So I'm gonna put everything inside here. And instead of messages, now this becomes the message because we want to loop through it. And I'm gonna keep this element as element, and instead I'm gonna change this here. So we're looping through messages, we're giving it a name of element, and then we're literally looping through, and then we are literally inserting the elements if this had more elements in it. So save this, and now if we go back, that problem is solved. Let's add a new user. Bob, a telephone, Bob 123 add. Here we go, new customer has been added, and that doesn't look right, so I can fix it super quickly. And this is because I spelled dismissible wrong. It needs to be I. Cool. And now I should fix the problem now. And it should look like this, and then you can dismiss it. All right, now that we have a couple of customers, we can actually display them here on the page, and we can look into pagination. First of all, I'm going to start simple for the people that don't want to do the pagination, and then we'll build on this. So first of all, let's go back and find the customer controller, and let's scroll to the top where we have the export homepage. So most of the stuff is already done, and we just need to do a query and get the customer. In order to do this, we can wrap everything into a try catch. Let me tidy things up. So inside here, I can just do try catch, and we're using an asynchronous function, which is good. We can now query the customers. So this is going to be the basic version to start with. So let's do const customers, and then this is going to be equals await, and then we're going to do customers, customer, which is our customer here, customer model, and then this is going to be dot find, and then inside here we can just put curly brackets, which is literally going to find everything inside customer, and we can chain this and put limit like so. And then the limit can be, let's say, 22 record. Right, so the maximum customers that we're going to get will be 22. Now, in order to be able to display them, we can do exactly the same thing as locals and messages. So I'm going to grab this, put it into our try here, and then this is going to be res.index, and then we're passing the locals, the messages, and we also want the customers. Here we go. Here is the customers. We're passing that, and technically speaking, we should be able to get the data now. And inside the catch, we can do, for now, we can just do console.log and then the error. If we go back to the page, refresh, everything is looking good. Let's build our little table now. If we go back to, let me close everything. So we're going to go back to the index.js, which is our dashboard here inside views. And now, after the flash messages here, we can build our table. Let's create a div with the class name of table responsive. And inside this div, we're going to create a table. And this table is going to have class of table, table striped, and table small. We're going to create the table head by doing t head like so. And inside here, we're going to do a table row, tr, and then inside the table row, we're going to do th. And inside this, in fact, this is going to be scope equals col. And inside here, we're going to do first name. And now we can copy this by doing Alt Shift down. This can be last name. telephone, email, and then action. This is where we're going to put the buttons. And for the action, I'm going to give it a class name of text end to push it at the bottom. You'll see in a second. And then for the table body around here, we're going to do T body. And inside the T body, we're going to do a for each to loop through the elements. So for this, I'm going to do, let's do EJS, and then I'm going to put the each here. So for each, so we're getting the customers, we're passing the customers from here. Let's copy that and put it, and we're looping through them. And you can call this whatever you like. I'm going to keep it as element. And now inside here, we're going to create the table rows. So tr with the class name of align middle. I'm going to open EJS and put EJS out like so. And let's do element dot, and then we do first name. We copy this 1, 2, 3, 4. So this time we have last name, tel, email. And actually for this one, we need to remove this because we're going to be adding a bunch of buttons in here. So I'm going to do a div with the class name of the flex row, justify content end, and then gap 2. Inside here is where we're going to be adding the view button, the edit button, and the delete button. So let's do that. These are going to be links. href, the first one is going to be view, and then we're going to put the element ID. So for this, I'm going to do EJS, and then out, we're going to grab the element, and then the ID of the element. In MongoDB is just ID. If you go to the database, you'll see that. And this is going to be a link with the type of button, the class name of btn, btn primary, and btn small. I'm also going to add an icon that I've copied for Bootstrap icons. And this icon is I class bi Bootstrap icons bi-I, which is just an I. So I'm going to copy this. So this is going to be a viewing button. You'll see in a second. And this is going to be our edit button. And again, we're going to leave the ID. And instead of the primary, we're going to do warning. And that's pretty much. And instead of the I, I'm going to do pencil because this is an edit button. And the last one is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be a form, and I'm going to show you how this works later on. So I'm going to do form. And this form is going to have an action. And this is going to have the action of edit / and then the element ID like so. But also we need to chain it with method equals delete. And I'm going to show you how this works, don't worry. Also, we can do method post and class position relative. Inside this form, we're going to have a button that's going to actually submit the form. So type of submit. Class name of btn danger, and btn small. Close this button, and inside this button, I'm going to add another icon and save. So we've written a little bit of code in here. Hopefully there is nothing wrong with it. Let's save it, and let's go back to the page and refresh. All right, awesome. That's not too bad. So we're getting the first name, we're getting the last name, the telephone number, and the email, and we're getting the icons. I do want the icons to be on the right side, so that will be a case of just changing a class name potentially. Let's have a look. And to this table data, we can just give it a class name of align of text end. And hopefully that should solve my issue. All right, text end, and I've misspelled justify content, I think. Let's have a look. Cool. Yeah, that's it. So we're getting 22 results. I don't know how much we have in the database. And if I go back to the database and refresh, so we have this 1, 2, 3 record here. Let's go to the bottom, and here it is. Updated this, and let's just update. All right, so I've updated that record, and if I refresh, you'll see that it says updated this. Cool. All right, so for the people that want to do the pagination, this is what I'm gonna do next. You don't have to do it. It's a little bit more complex than this. And if you don't want to do that, just skip this part and so on. And then the rest will work absolutely fine. It doesn't really matter. So let's do the pagination next. So for the pagination, we're going to have to do a more complex query. So in our customer controller, where we have our homepage, at the moment, we're just querying the customer database and we're getting the 22 records. Now, this is not good enough in order to do the pagination. We're going to have to do something a little bit more complex. And so for the people that don't want to do this, I'm going to copy this and comment it out. So we have it here as an example when I upload the code on GitHub. But what I'm going to do is paste in here and start modifying this quite a bit. All right, by the time I actually coded this video, I was on Mongoose 6.9.2 and now we're on Mongoose 7.0.0 and there are already new changes, which is in a way a good thing. So you get the latest, but it's annoying that I had to pause and redo some of the code I did, but it actually ended up being better anyway. So what I'm going to do now is leave this as it is, and I'm going to paste it here. And in fact, the new code won't be too bad. For the home page, we're going to have our flash messages here. That's fine. We're going to have our title and description. That's fine. But now we need to have a look at the pagination step. Right above try is I'm going to set the how many requests do you want per page. So I'm going to do let per page equals 12. And then I'm going to do let page equals and then request dot query and then dot page or 1. So basically this is going to grab the query parameter called page from the URL. If I go back to the browser and if we have a look here at the URL, if you do question mark and page, for example, and then if you put a number, so let's say 2, this is what we're going to be getting. We're going to be getting this parameter by doing rec.query page. And of course, you can change the name of whatever you want. But if we don't get one, so if we don't get a number, the default value is going to be 1. All right. And inside here, we need to do const and do customers equals await. And then we're going to do customer dot aggregate. I want to basically get the records sorted by updated at. And in order to do this, in curly brackets inside here, we can do sort. And then we're going to do another curly bracket and then updated at. And then we're going to put -1. After this, we can chain a few more options in here. So I can do dot skip. And then we're going to do per page times the page and then minus per page. Then we're going to have dot limit. And then this is going to be per page, which is currently 12. And then the last thing we're going to do is execute this. I'm not actually sure whether we need this now, but let's go with it. The next thing that I'm going to do is count the customers. And in order to do this, we can do const count equals and then await customer dot count. And then we close. Now let's render all of the data. So res.render. And we need to render the index page. And then in curly brackets, we can start with locus, which is our title and description, customers, like so, which is the data from the database. And then we're going to need the current page, which is the page from the URL like so. So that's going to be helpful with the pagination. And then we're going to need the pages. And we want to run this by doing math.seli and then count divided by per page like so. And we're also missing the messages, so I'm gonna add them in here. This is the flash messages, and we should be good to go, I believe. So if we close this, tidy things up, save everything, go back to the browser and refresh. Okay, we're still getting the data, which is great. If I was to change this to, is it 1, I believe? Let's have a look. Yep, we're getting a different order. It's actually working. So that's cool. Update it. So now let's build the pagination, and I'm going to be using the Bootstrap pagination styles to make it look nice. If we go back to the views and then index.js, just outside the table that we created, the responsive table where we're rendering all the data, we can do the pagination inside here. And before we begin, I just want to explain how this is going to work. So all pagination is going to look something similar to this. We're going to have first link, and then in between we're going to have the pages. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if you have more than 5, we're going to have the ... which is not going to be clickable. And then we're going to have another link called last. So essentially, if you are on page 1, the first link is going to look disabled. If you are on the last page, the last link is going to be disabled because you won't be able to click it. But if you are anywhere in between those, we're going to have the first one clickable and the last one clickable. And of course, they're all going to be clickable as well. And that's how it's going to work pretty much. So let's start by building this. First of all, if we go back to the query here, you will see that we are passing the customers. So there is no point of actually rendering the pagination if we don't have any customers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an EJS if condition here, and I'm going to say if customers dot length is bigger than 0, then we can display the pagination. And now if we go back and refresh, you'll see that we're getting pagination, which is good. Let's remove that and let's start by writing the navigation. So I'm going to be using the example from Bootstrap, and let's start by doing nav. We're going to have a area label, and this is just going to say dashboard pagination like so. And then we're going to have an unordered list in here, and in this unordered list is going to have a couple of classes starting with pagination, then justify content center. We want it to be in the middle, and then margin top of 5 like so. And then inside here is where we can start doing the checks, and also we can start building the lists. Let's have a look at the first one here, and I'm going to do EJS if, and then the condition for this is if we have the current page, which we're passing from here. So we're actually getting the page from the URL, and then we're passing it here. So current. So if the current page is equals 1, then we want to make sure that the first link is there, but it's disabled. So what I'm going to do is create a list. This list is going to have a class name of page-item, and is going to have the class name of disabled like so. And inside here, we can create a link, href. I'm going to have it as an empty link. And then this is going to have a class name of page-link. And then we can just say first like so. And then I need a else statement. We need to open it, EJS, close it. And now inside here, we can pretty much copy this list like so. And then instead of disabled, we can remove this, and we can change the link to question mark page equals 1. So this is the, if we click on it, it goes to page 1. In fact, we could just put slash because that's the default page, but that will work either way. Okay, and save. Let's test this. So now if you go back and refresh, you will see that we're getting the first link and it's disabled because we're on the first page. Technically speaking, if I change this to, you should be able to see it that it lights up, and now I can click on it and it goes to page 1. Okay, so let's go back and let's do the rest. The next piece of code will be actually the first dot, which I kind of didn't explain. So it's going to be first, we're going to have dot dot dot. If we are on page above 5, we can put dot dot dot, and then we will have let's say 1 2 3 4 5, and then we'll have last. And then if we are all the way around, if you're on page 5, we'll have the dots in here. All right, I hope that makes sense. You'll see how it works in a second. Let's start EJS, and inside here we're going to do a variable of I equals, we need to convert the current number to number, so number current, and then we can do a check if it's bigger than 5, or we can do number and then current. We can do the subtracted by 4 and divided by 1, and then inside here we can do EJS, and if I is not equals 1, then we can display the dot. So now we can do EJS, close this, and inside here we can pretty much copy the disabled link here. So I'm going to copy this one, paste it, we need to close it. Okay, so page item disabled, the link can be disabled, the page link is fine, and instead of first we're going to do dot dot dot. Now we probably won't see this. If I go back, yeah, we won't see this unless we, is because I don't have enough records. So we'll see this in a second, or I need to change the query. Right, we'll see this in a second how it works. The next piece of code is going to loop through the numbers. So let's build that. We need to do a for loop. So I'm going to do EJS for, and then inside here we're going to, in fact, I'm going to change the whole thing. So we need to initialize the I, and then I'm going to do less or equals the number, and then we're converting the current into a number, and then we can do some checks, so plus 4, and then inside here we can do and I less or equals pages, and then we do I plus plus, and inside here we can do an if statement, so EJS if, and then the condition for this would be if I is equals the current page, then we want to show a disabled link. So I'm going to copy this one here, and page item disabled, that's fine. And instead of this, we're actually going to change it to the actual number that we're looping from. So I'm going to do EJS and then out, and then just put I. All right, save this, and let's have a look super quickly. We have both the first links here disabled, but they're popping out. And now we need to do the rest. So we're going to have an else. And then inside here, I'm going to do EJS, close the else statement, and get another link. So this one here. And this one is going to be list class page item. We're going to remove this, and we're going to change the link to be / page. And then we put the number here. So we want this to, every single link to change. So what I'm going to do is open EJS like so, close it, and inside here we put the number, and then again we render the number in here so it's visible to the user. So now if I save this, and if I go back to the page and refresh, we're getting an error, and this is because I've opened else, and this is because I spelled else wrong. Okay, else. Okay, and now we should be good to go. Okay, so we have first 1 2, and if I click on 2, we're getting some more records and they light up. If I go back to 1, this is switching. Okay, great. Let's have a look at the rest. The last one is going to be the dot 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 link. So for this, I'm going to do another if statements in here, EJS if, and then the condition for this is going to be if I is equals number, current plus 4, and I smaller than pages. We can close EJS like so, and inside here we can get another list. So maybe, in fact, this one here, the disabled one, and then we can do page link can stay the same, but this one I'm going to change to ... like so. And that's it. And the last thing that I'm going to do, which is going to be, let me fix the indentation super quickly. And the last thing that I'm going to do, which is going to be pretty much the same as this, so we might as well copy it. This is going to be the last link, but it looks like I've closed another EJS in here, which doesn't look good. Right, hopefully that will work. I removed it. Yes, seems fine. Okay, maybe I just put one extra. That's fine. So let's paste it in here. And then this one is going to be if parent is equals pages. And then the first link is going to become last. And this is going to become last as well. And instead of doing this, we're going to change it to EJS. And we're going to do pages. Like so. Remove that. Okay, I think that looks good. If I go back, you will see that we're getting 1, 2, and last. If I click on the last page, we're getting page 2 with all the records. And if I click on the first one, we're getting the first one. Now, if I go back to the actual query under customer controls, and let's change this to, I don't know, 6 maybe. And then if I go back, hopefully, yeah, we're getting more pages now. So we need a little bit more records. So I'm going to put this 3 per page. Here we go. So we got 3 per page, makes it look like we've got more records. But when we're on the first page here, we can't click them. We can click 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we can't click the last because we're on the last page. We're getting the ... I can go first, last, and so on. So I'm going to put this back to 12, but you get the point. And that's pretty much going to be all pagination. All right, let's refresh. And now let's have a look at how we can view customers, make a nice detailed page, and then how we can edit them and also delete them. So starting from the first link here, let's go back to the actual link, which is under index.ejs, and we've got them in here. So we link this under views, and we are passing the element ID of the actual record. So this, if I inspect it super quickly, let me have a look. I'm not sure if you can see, but this is the ID of the record. So if I was to go to the database, you'll see that each user has unique identifier, and that's done by _ID. And we can use this unique identifier to query the specific records. And that's how we're getting it from here, basically. That's pretty much it. So we need to create this view page, and then we need to pass the ID. First of all, let's start by closing this down, and let's go to views, customers, and let's create the page. So inside here, we're going to do view.ejs, and then I'm going to put view customer just for now, and then we'll come back to this. We also need to do the route. So inside route, customers, somewhere around here, we need to add our new route. Add it around here. And what I'm going to do is copy one of them. Let's copy a get route. And this one is going to be router.get view. And in order to be able to pass the ID and grab it from the URL, we can do something like this. So you can call this whatever you like. I'm just going to call it ID. And then for the customer controller, I'm just going to say, I don't know, let's say view or view customer, whatever you wish. So let's keep it like that. And now we need to create this controller. So if I go to the, I'm going to copy this. If I go to the controllers, somewhere at the bottom here, let's create a new one. So this is going to be get customer data, and I'm going to copy this from here super quickly. So we have export, view, async, and then we close. And now we can do the logic inside here. So this is actually going to be pretty simple. So what we can do is try, and then inside here we can do const customer, and then this is going to be equals await customer dot find one, and then inside here we pass the ID. We want to query it by ID, so ID, and then we grab the parameter from the URL, which is going to be request.params.id. This is how we grab it from the URL. I'll show you how it works. All right, and now we can do exactly the same thing that we've been doing with the rest of the stuff. So we can set up some locals. Let's copy this. And then these locals view customer data, that's fine. And then we can do res.render, and then we need to render the page that we want to render. So in this case, this is going to be under customer, which is here. And then this is going to be /view, which we just created. And then we can pass the stuff that we want. For example, we can pass the locals. That's the title and description. And then we can pass the customer data, which we grab from the database right now. And now after the try, we can do catch. And then we can catch the error. And then inside here, console log error for now. Cool. So that's pretty much the view done. All we need to do is render the data and make it look nice. So if we close this, and if we focus on the actual, make sure that you save this by the way, and if we focus on the actual view page in here, let's make it work. So first of all, if we go back and refresh, everything should be working. And if I click on one of the records, you'll see that here we're getting the path view with the unique ID of the customer that we just selected. And we're just getting view customer because we don't have anything on the page just yet. The first thing that I'm going to do is grab the header from index.js. So I'm going to grab this just to make it look nice and then paste in here. So instead of dashboard, view customer. And in fact, let's display the customer name just to check whether this is working. So instead, we're going to do EJS. And then for this, we're going to do customer, in fact, equals customer dot first name. And then we can also do EJS. Let's do the last name as well. So the same thing. Dot last name like so and save. If we go back, hopefully that would September Wharton. Very cool name. If we go back and if we click on Kermit Becker, we should get Kermit Becker, which is pretty cool. So we definitely don't need this add button here in the toolbar. But maybe I'm going to keep this empty for you. Maybe we can do something else, like let's say a button, type of button, just to make it look nice, but it's not gonna do much. So btn small, btn outline, just so you have an example. And then this is going to be secondary. And then maybe you just put share. I don't know what you're going to do. We can copy this one more time and then do export. We're not going to be doing these features, but just to show you that you can add them in here and make them look nice, because we have this add new button in here. That's pretty much it. Let's go back to Kermit Becker and let's have a look at the rest. I'm going to create a bunch of divs and display the information in a nice way. So I'm going to do call padding to the y-axis of 3, and then inside this column I'm going to do a dot row, and inside this row I'm going to do dot col, and inside this column I'm going to put some breadcrumbs. So we've already got breadcrumbs somewhere inside the add page, I believe. So I'm going to copy them. Here they are, navigation, breadcrumbs. I'm going to copy that and paste it inside here. And then this is going to go to dashboard, and inside here we can render the customer first name if you wish. So instead of new customer, we can render customer name, save, go back, and we get a nice little breadcrumb in here, tidy things up. And now to make it even more fancy, we can do another column, and inside this column we can, in fact, let's give it a few more class names. So text end, because I want to push the text to the end, font weight of lighter. And then inside here I'm going to do just some demo stuff. Let's say B, and then I'm going to say last updated. And then inside here I'm going to do EJS, and then we can get the customer last updated. But in fact, let me show you. So let's do customer dot last update, no, updated at. Is it last updated or updated at? I cannot remember. Updated at is what I've used. Okay, so updated at, and make this equals. So what's gonna happen here if we go back you'll see that we're getting a lot of information. Last updated, and then Sunday, March 05, 2003, at the time, Greenwich time, and so on. Now, with a little bit of JavaScript, you can convert this to whatever you like. There are also some nice libraries that can help you with stuff like that. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do new date. Then I'm going to put the customer updated at inside here. And then I'm going to do this to UTC string. And then close the function like so. And now if we go back, you'll see that it makes it a little bit better for me. So last updated Sunday 05 March 2023. And I'm going to do one more in here. So B to make it bold, I think. User ID, and I'm going to put the user ID inside here. Maybe I can put it after the B. So I'm going to do EJS out, and then we're going to do customer dot underscore ID. And now if we go back, we should be able to get the customer ID. We could do with a bit of space between them, make them bold, but these are things that I'm going to do a little bit of space like so. Okay. But these are things that you can always work on. So now let's have a look at how we can list some of the customer data. And I'm going to do another div inside here and make it look nice. So in fact, this is going to be an unordered list with the class name of list group. And then inside here, I'm going to do a bunch of lists. So list, and then this list is going to have a class name of list group item. There are a lot of ways you can style this, but I think this is just an easy, nice looking way. And then we can create a row with a column, and then we're going to have this column. I'm actually going to do a little bit of styling here, and you'll see why. Style, and this is going to be equals max width to be 140 pixels. You'll see why in a second. And then inside here, I'm going to put the name. So in bold, name like so. We close the div, and then on another line I'm going to do another call, and then inside this call we're going to grab the name. So EJS equals, and then customer dot first name, and then I'm going to do space EJS customer dot last name like so. Save it, and keep opening this. Now if you refresh, you'll see that we're getting a nice table in here, and we have the name of Kermit Becker. I can zoom in a little bit just so you can see. And now we can do the same pretty much for the rest of the styling, and that will be really fast. So what I'm going to do is copy this, and the first one is going to be the telephone. So I'm just going to put tel, and then instead of first name, we're going to put the tel and remove the name from here. Drop done, save it. Yep, looking good. Now let's do the rest. This is going to be email. Let's do a few more details. Maybe we can do created at. So date created maybe. Created at, and then one more, and this is going to be the updated date modified and updated at. Let's have a look at what we get. All right, so not too bad. Details is the only one that didn't work. All right, and this is because when I was building the actual database, I actually totally forgot to do the customer details. And this is an easy one. You can just go to the customer model and add one more field. For example, after email, we can put details. But now my database doesn't have any of the information. So what I'm going to do, details will be absolutely fine. Let's have a look. So maybe I can put RAD, a telephone number, email, and then RADI's details. Okay, if we submit this, hopefully, if we go back to the database, I'll have to create new records with that field. Let's have a look. So we have, it's probably going to be at the bottom. Okay, yeah, we have Ruddy's details in here. And yeah, I didn't create any of the records with that field in mind anyways. So if we refresh this, we have RUD in here. And if I click on it to view it, you'll see that the details are actually working. So I just totally forgot to add this, which is fine. I'm not going to convert those because I've already showed you how you can do that. But that's pretty much going to be all detailed view. And of course, you can build on this and make it look the way you want. The next one I'm going to do is the edit. So the edit is actually going to be pretty much exactly the same as adding a new user. And which means that this is going to be an easy one. All right. So what I'm going to do is let's have a look at the edit button first of all. Let me close everything. And if we go to index.ejs, and if we look at the edit button super quickly before we not pagination. All right, the edit button here. So the edit button is exactly the same as the view. We are passing an element ID, a record ID, and basically we're going to an edit page. So let's build that. So what I'm going to do is let's go to the route super quickly. And then inside here, we can create a new route. And let's just space out so we can focus on it. And this route is going to be edit. Again, this is a get route and we're passing the ID. And instead of view, maybe we can just do edit. That'll be fine. And now let's create this controller. So if I click on the controllers, it's going to lead me to the controllers in here. And somewhere at the bottom, maybe I can copy one. Maybe I can copy this one here, get data, because it's going to be similar. So instead of view, we're going to get edit customer data. This is going to be edit. And then inside here, we want to query the customer that we're looking for, just like we did in the view. We're passing some locals, so edit customer data, that's fine. And then we're rendering the page, which is customer, and then edit. We need to create this page. So let's do that. In views, customers, let's create one more page, but I'm going to copy the contents from add because I believe that most of it is going to be the same. So let's copy the whole thing and create a new page and do edit EJS. Hopefully it will be the same thing. All right, save this. And now let's jump to the top here and let's say edit instead. Okay, so let's have a look whether this works first of all before we do anything else. Save everything. All right, save everything. Let's go back. And now if we click on edit, you will see that we're getting exactly the same form as the add form. But now we can just change a couple of things and make it work. So the first thing that I'm going to do here at the top header, I'm just going to say which customer that we're editing. I'm just going to put EJS with equals. So this is going to be customer dot, oops, not capital S, small letter, customer first name. And then we can do EJS out and then customer last name like so and save. If you go back, we're getting Ruddy A because I didn't put a longer name. Let's go to Kermit here. And as you can see, we, oops, sorry. If we go to Kermit here and we press edit, you'll see that we say edit Kermit Becker or editing Kermit Becker. Cool. For the breadcrumbs, we can do exactly the same here. We can get the name instead of new customer. We can just print in here. And that would look pretty cool. Dashboard and then Kermit. Maybe we can just do the last name as well. You're getting, so Kermit last name like so, and that would be cool. User ID is where we can put the user ID as well. So what I'm going to do is put customer and then underscore ID. Let's refresh and we're getting the customer ID just in case if we need them because we're editing. And now we can start populating some of the fields with the real data from the database. So view, well, wrap just so you can see a little bit better. And actually just to make it a little bit more interesting, I'm going to copy one more line in here and I'm going to change this to last updated. And then this is going to be, I'm going to have to change this to make it look a little bit better. So in the bold here, we're going to do EJS out And then inside here, we're going to do new date. And then I'm going to do customer dot updated at, and then to UTC s UTC string, like so. And I think that will make it look nice. Okay, we get last updated. So every time we update the record, this will hopefully change. Yeah, I think that would be fine. And now let's have a look at populating the actual form. Now, a very important thing in here is that we need to change the form action. So the action at the moment is add. We need to change this to edit. And not only that, we need to change this to which customer are we actually editing. So we need to put EJS in here and customer underscore ID, like so, close the EJS. Cool. So when we submit this form, this is going to edit this customer here. Now we need to do a little bit more trickery in here. And what I'm going to do is question mark underscore method put equals put. Now I'm going to show you how this works super quickly, and we can leave the method post in here. Now, if you remember earlier in this tutorial, we installed something called method override. So this is going to allow us to do stuff like put and delete. Let me show you super quickly. If you go to the npm package method override, you'll see that it lets you HTTP verbs such as put or delete in places where the client doesn't support it. So that's what we're going to be using, and it's actually fairly simple to set up. So let me show you. So we're going to go back to app.js super quickly. And then at the top, we need to include it. So somewhere around here, it doesn't matter too much. We can do const method override equals require. And then we require method override, like so. Now we can do the middleware somewhere around here. So I'm going to do app.use. And then we're going to do method override. And then here, the option is going to be underscore. There are many ways to do this, but this one is going to be underscore method. And that's pretty much it. So if our application, application is working, that's good. Let's go back to the edit page and concentrate on that now. And now we need to populate the values coming from the database. And in order to do this, we can do EJS. And inside here, we can do the customer dot first name. And now I can copy this and I can do it for the rest. So this one, we can go back just to check, but we're getting Kermit here, which is the name. And now if we go back to last name, let's do the same for the rest. So last name, then we have telephone. I think this was just tel. We'll see. This is just email. And then the customer details, we need to change inside the text area here. We can put details. And now we need to change the submit button. So instead of adding customer, we can do update customer. And we can do another button here, which is going to be our delete button. So I'm going to copy this and change it a little bit. Delete customer, but I'll have a look into this in a second. Let's make sure that this is updating, and then we'll do the delete as well. So if I refresh now, you'll see that we're getting all the data. We do not have customer details on this particular record, but if I go back to RAD editor, you'll see that we're getting RAD details. And I don't know why there is a lot of space in here. I think it might be because I've done this. So let's have a look. Let's remove the space from here. Like so. Save it. And refresh. Yeah, that was causing the space, I think. So if I zoom out just so you can see, we're getting update and delete. Obviously that can be changed. All right, and now let's sort out the update customer. Now when we click on the update customer, obviously this is going to have an action, which is going to be a method, but we don't have this in our route. So what we need to do is go back to route, and where we have the get. So this is rendering the edit page. We need to copy this and create one more, and this is going to be put instead. And then we have edit and the ID, which is absolutely fine. And then edit, and then I can call this something else, edit post maybe. All right, let's go back to controllers, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and copy the last one that we created, which was the edit get customer detail. So I'm going to copy this and paste in here. So instead of edit, we need to change this to edit post. And so I'm going to change it here. And that's kind of it. So I'm going to rebuild the whole thing actually. So let's just remove everything and start clean. And then this is going to be update customer data. Customer data. And now inside here, we're going to do a try catch. And inside the try, I'm going to do the query. So we want to get all the data from the form, from the edit form, this one here. We want to get the data and update the record. So in order to do this, we can do await customer. And then this is going to be find one and update. And then inside here, we put the customer data. So we're going to have first name, just like before. And then we're going to do request.body because we are sending the information from the input, just like we done the add-in form, and then first name. Then I'm going to have to do this a few more times. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to have to do 5 times. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to start this with changing everything. Last name, make sure that we put comma pretty much everywhere. And now let's change it. So last name, then we're going to have telephone, then we're going to have email. Then we're going to have details. And then we're going to have updated at. And then the updated at is going to be the only different one. We're going to get the current date by doing date.now, like so. Cool. And then the last thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we are updating the correct record by doing where. And then inside here, we select which record we want to update, and we can get the request parameters. So params, and then .id. And then the last thing that we need to do is redirect to the edit page. So so we get the updated record straight away. So we can do res.redirect. And then inside here, we can do with the single slanted quotes, we can do edit slash, and then $, curly brackets, and then request.params.id. And then for the catch, we can just do console.log error. Okay. Cool. Let's tidy things up super quickly. All right, quick update on the update customer data. Sometimes the record would not update. It would find a different record and update another one, which is a little weird. We don't want that. And what I found is that we need to swap the find one and update. And instead we can do find by ID and update. And instead of having the where clause in here, I can grab this and I can remove it now. Like so. And we can put the ID in here with a comma. And that should solve the issue. So now if I go to this user here, I can edit it, update. Okay, go back to the edit page, refresh, make sure everything is working fine. All right, and now if I click on RAD and say update customer, you will see that we have RAD updated straight away because he updated the record in the database and he redirected us to the same page. So somewhere, if I refresh the database, we should be able to see that reflecting straight away. I don't know where. Here we go. RAD updated, and this is the last record here. And as you can see, the created at and the updated date has changed, hasn't it? So yeah, it has changed. So I created it at 12, and now it's 1, and now it's half 1. So yeah, the updated at has worked, and we can do the same thing with the rest of the records. Nodejs, and then I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then release details, 1, 2, 3, update. As you can see, everything stays the same. I can go to the dashboard. It's all updated here. I can view the record. As you can see, everything has been updated, which is great. Last updated, and it gives me the time right now. So as you can see, 1337, 1337. So that's good. So when we click on the edit here, we also want to delete customers, and we can do that next. So if we go back to the edit page, and if you go here at the bottom where we created the delete button, since we're using Bootstrap, we can do this potentially in a nice fancy way. So instead of primary, let's do danger. And let's change a few things. So I'm going to do this with a motive. So when you click on the delete button, it's not going to delete the record straight away. It's going to ask you if you want to delete it. So this is going to be button type of button. We don't want to submit because he's going to delete the record again. And then this is going to have a class of button danger. That's fine. And now we need to do the data dash bootstrap bs and then toggle. And then the toggle that we want to do is just going to be CRUD model, like so. And then the ID is going to be delete button. And we also need a target. So this is going to be data bootstrap target. And this is going to be equals an ID. Whoops. An ID of delete button. Sorry, delete model. And then we have delete customer. If I save this, let's have a look. As you can see, we're getting the delete button here, which is fine. And now let's create the model super quickly. So for the model, I'm actually going to create it at the bottom here. There is a lot of examples on the Bootstrap documentation if you wish to copy and paste one, but I'm going to create one super quickly. So .model .fade, because we want that nice fade animation. And then for this, we're going to have tab index of -1. Row is going to be dialog. And the ID is going to be the ID that we just added, delete button, like so. And then inside here, we need to create a few more divs. So model, dialog. And this is going to have the row of document. Inside here, we're going to have a few more divs, model content. And inside the model content, we're going to have model header. The model header is going to have model title. And I'm going to paste, you are about to remove a customer record. And then inside here, we're going to do a button. This button is going to have the type of a button with the class name of btn close. And then data dash bootstrap dash dismiss equals model. This is what's gonna close the model. An area label. To close. And I think that's it here. So for the body, we just want to put some text. So I'm going to do dot model body. And inside here, I'm going to create a paragraph and I'm going to paste something super quickly. And this is going to say, this will remove the customer record of, I'm just putting a bold and then customer first name, customer last name. And then I'm just doing a break just so we can break this on another line. And it's just asking you, are you sure? Now that we have the body, we have a little bit more to go. The last piece here, which is the footer. So dot model footer. And then for the footer, I'm going to create a button. And then this button is going to have a type of a button, class name of btn secondary, data dash bootstrap dash dismiss, model, and then this is going to just say close. We can put that back in one line. And then the last thing we need to do is create a form which we can submit and delete, just like we've done on the update. So I'm going to do form, And this is going to be very important here. We need to put edit slash and then EJS. Oops. I'm going to open EJS like so, close it. And inside here, we're going to do customer ID underscore ID. And then again, we're going to do question mark underscore method. And then this method is going to be equals delete. We also want method post and a class name of position relative. And inside this form, we need a button that is going to submit. So button with the type of submit. And then this is going to have the class name of btn primary. And I'm just going to say yes, remove customer. And let's have a look whether this works. So save everything. All right. If I put delete customer, it's not working. And it's because the ID does not match or ID inside here, delete model. So I need to do that instead. All right. My mistake. And now if I save and if I go back, we should be able to click the delete button now. It fades in and it says, are you about to remove, this customer? This looks a little bit small, but these are things that you can fix. This will remove the customer of CRUD updated Node.js. Are you sure? So if I click yes, if I click close, first of all, this will close. If I click this, it will close. And now if I click yes, remove customer, nothing is going to happen. And this is because we actually haven't done the delete route yet. So let's do that. So if you go back to route customer where we have put, we need to make a delete one. So I'm going to copy this line and put delete. Then we're deleting on edit and we're passing the ID. And then instead of edit post, why did I call it post? Oh, okay. It doesn't matter. It's because we're posting. Yeah, the naming could be a little bit better, but it doesn't matter. Maybe I can put delete customer. All right, I didn't think about this. So delete customer, and let's create this delete customer inside the controller. So at the bottom, maybe we can copy this one here and paste it inside here. So instead of get, this is going to be delete. Delete customer. This is going to be actually fairly simple. So I'm going to remove everything. And instead of edit post, we're going to do delete customer. Inside here, we're going to do try catch super quickly. And let's do console.log error. And then for the try, all we need to do is await customer. And then we can do .delete 1. And then we need to pass the ID that we want to delete. So we're going to do underscore ID and then request.params.id, which we are passing on submitting the form. And then the last thing that we're going to do is redirect, res.redirect. And then we go to the dashboard, for example. And you could do another flash message just like we've done with the added customers, but we've already done that. So that will be your little challenge. What we're going to do now is go back to the page, refresh, and let's delete this customer. So I'm going to click yes, remove customer. We have been redirected and now this customer is gone. If I delete this one as well, so let's go here, delete customer, yes. And now as you can see, that customer is gone as well. And as you can see, that worked quite well. We can do exactly the same thing in here. Pretty much we can just put a form for this button and make it delete the customer. So a quick way of doing this is if we go back to the dashboard here where we have the form, I actually created that already by the looks of it early in this tutorial. So hopefully this is just going to work, but we're not getting the, the modal here. We just deleted. And what I'm going to do is refresh and let's say this one here, rat, I'm going to delete and it's gone. Bob, I'm going to delete and it's gone, and so on. So you get the point here. We can still add customers. We can edit them, view them, and so on. And the last thing that we need to do, I think, is the search bar. So let's create that. So first of all, let's close pretty much everything except the customer route. I'm gonna need that. And let's create a new page. So I'm not sure where to create this page, maybe around here. Okay, in views, I'm gonna create a new page, search.ejs. Let's do h1 search. And now let's go back to the route and let's do another route here. So I'm gonna copy one. And then this one is going to be router.post. And then we're going to have, instead of edit, we're going to get search. And this is going to be search customers. Like so. And now let's create this controller. I'm going to scroll to the bottom, maybe copy this one here and paste it. So instead of delete, this is going to be search. Sorry, this is going to be get. And then this is going to be search customer data. We also want to change the delete customer to search customer. And I'm going to wipe this out actually and start from 0 just so we know what we're doing. All right. So if I was to, all right, first of all, let's have a look at the search bar. So if we go to partials and header, this is where we have the search bar. So we have a form and that form has a method of post and an action of search, which goes to the search bar, which goes to the search page. Now, the important bit in here is this search input. We have the name as search term. So we want to be able to grab this search term and query the database. Let's have a look at how we can do that. So inside here, we can grab this by doing let search term equals request.body, and then we just do search term. This is the name. So I'm going to remove any special characters from the search. So I'm going to do const and then search, no special characters equals search term dot replace. And I'm going to copy and paste a regex, which just replace special characters for us. And now we can do the query. To do the query, we can wrap everything into a try catch. So try catch, might as well have this in here. Okay. And now inside here, we're going to do const customers equals, and then await customer dot find. And then inside here is where we're going to do the query. So what I want to do is I actually only want to find records by first name and last name. Now you can modify this further if you wish to, but what I'm going to do is put all, and then in brackets, we can specify what we want to search for. So I'm going to put first name, and then this is going to be a regex in here. So new reg X search, no special characters. Let me copy this and then and then I'm gonna copy this line and do last name regex and then search no special characters, and that should hopefully search in for the first name and the last name. And now we also want to render records, so we can do res.render, and then inside here we render in the search page. And then the stuff that we want to render will be customers. Maybe we could do title and description. Let's see where we have locals. Here we go. I'm going to grab this as well. And then where do we put them? Anywhere around here will be fine. So I'm going to put locals, search customer data, and then we can do one more line, locals. Okay. For the catch, console log error. Cool. So now let's build the search page. First of all, if we go back to the dashboard and if we submit anything, I'm going to press 1, 2, 3, submit. You will see that we're getting the search page. I'm not going to do anything fancy in here. I'm just going to display a few records. So let's go back to the search page and let's build it up super quickly. In fact, I can potentially get the heading here Yeah, I can get the heading from the index.js and put it in the search here just to make it look nice. Search. And now we can focus on this super quickly. All right, I'm going to do a div with a class of table responsive. All right, let's build something super quickly in here. So EJS if, and then I'm going to say if customers are bigger than 0, hopefully. I haven't tested this, but I need to play around with it. So if customers are bigger than 0, we want to display something, and then else maybe we can display something like, let's close EJS. We can display in H2. No results found. Let's have a look. Refresh. Okay, no results found. Hopefully this is going to work. And now inside here, we can display some of the results. And in order to do that, I'm going to create a table. And then this table is going to have a class of table, table stripped, table small. The table head is going to have, all right, we're going to have a T head. And then inside here, we're going to have table row. Inside the table row, we're going to have a few THs. So TH, table. And then this is going to have a scope of column. And inside here we're going to put first name and copy this a couple of times. So 1, 2, 3 maybe. So we're going to do last name. We're going to do tel. And then we're going to do email. Now after this, we're going to create a T body. And inside this T body is where we're going to do a loop. So EJS, I'm going to do for each. So inside here, we're going to do customers. For each element, you can change this to whatever you like. I'm going to leave it. TD. And then for this, we're going to do EJS out. And then this is going to be element dot first name. And now I can copy this a couple of times. So element first name, last name, telephone, and email. All right. And I think that might be just okay. Let's tidy things up. And now, if we save this, and if we go back to the browser, and if we refresh, all right, no result. Let's have a look at Rebecca. I'm going to search for that, and no result. All right, and I believe that, all right, and maybe it's because of this. So if customers are not equals empty maybe, or no, let's try this. And then let's have a look. And now if I search for Rebecca, you will see that we're getting Rebecca and we're getting all the details in here. All right, when we search for something like a letter, we should be able to get more names. For example, if a name contains R, then we should be able to get all the names, if that makes sense. So if I search for R, as you can see, we are actually getting the records, but this looks very broken. So the first thing that I noticed is when I went to the search.ejs is that I had the table class here as R table. That needs to be table. So that's just a typo, which doesn't make much of a difference. But the thing that is breaking it is that I don't have a table row inside the T body. So inside here, inside the loop, we need to create a table row like so. And this table row needs to have a class of align middle. And now we need to wrap everything in this table row like so. Maybe we can indent this so you can see. Save. Right. Hopefully now if I go back and refresh, we're getting the records the way we should. So if we search for one that is unique, commit, then we get one record, which is fine. But if we search for something that contains, I don't know, so E, there is a lot of names with E. Let's do E. And as you can see, we're getting a lot of names that contain the letter E. And that's pretty much the search gone. If you want to go straight to the record, we can have a link in here. So that means where we have the th, we can create one more. I don't know what to call this, action maybe, and then we can create one more in here, td, and then we can just do a link or an icon. I think we already had an icon in the index.ejs, so potentially you could just copy pretty much them. You can just do, you can even do the delete if you wish. So I can just copy the whole thing here, copy, and paste it into here, into the td. And now if you go back and refresh, you should be able to have access to view the record, because nothing really changes. The links are the same, the edit, and so on. And if you wish to create the about page, it's fairly simple. All we need to do is, first of all, if this is linked, yeah, that's linked to the about page. All we need to do is create a new route. So maybe we create a new get route in here. We can call it about. And then inside here, we can do about. And where we have home page, let's copy the one that let's copy one. And I'm going to put it inside here. Change the comment so it says about. That's not needed. About, and then we can render the about page. Remove any of the queries because we won't need them, and that should just work now. And then if I go back and refresh, we get, oh, I didn't create the view. So in views, we need to create an about page, of course. So about.ejs. And in fact, I'm just going to copy and paste some text that I've already configured. So about, we're getting an image from images, which just demonstrates how it works. So I'm going to paste the image as well. We have an image in the public folder and we have a little bit of text, and that's it. So if you go back, refresh, and go to the about page, all right, we're having an error, and this is because purely I didn't pass messages, I think. So we have only locus in here, and we don't need the curly brackets, in fact. All right, save this. Let's go back. Okay, now it's just working. So if you click about, you will see that we're getting the about page, we're rendering an image, and so on. So that's going to be pretty much everything for this tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you in the next one. I'm just trying to get some